Ready to record. Good morning. Welcome to the coffee house. This is Anyssa and Kathy. We're actually gonna do a little bit of recording, listening to John Maxwell this morning. We're in Whistler, BC. It is Friday, the last weekend of August.
Amazing.
I can't believe how fast it is going. How much biking did you do this week?
I've done 4 days of biking, so
yes.
Both downhill and cross country, because it's that time of year you got to get it in. And the bike park at Whistler Mountain starts to, after the Labor Day weekend here in Canada on September the 2nd, they start to close down earlier as it's getting darker quicker.
I can't believe the summer is gone.
But they're open until October the 14th, which is the Canadian Thanksgiving this year. So,
well, we were looking, it was like Labor Day's on Monday, which is usually, it almost feels like it's a week early too.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for coming out to Wine Camp, our last ladies meeting of the summer as well. We met at Canadian wineries and had over 30 men and women, because we joined with Kitsilano business leaders as well. Thanks, Judy Ryman, for bringing out all of her crew. And we did wine tasting with a sommelier and learned, I call it Learning to Wine, W-I-N-E. And we'll probably do one of those every quarter, which will be fun. We're going to do champagne, learn about champagne next time. It'll be up here in Whistler. I'm working on our sommelier already.
I think their website is CanadianBerries.com out of Richmond. It was a beautiful venue, and what a great idea for the summer meeting. Thank you very much. The ladies meeting is on Facebook, and encourage you to go and visit it.
Yep, our hashtag is ladies meeting. Ladies meeting. So, and Kathy and I've been. She's been my very consistent cohort at the coffee house, which is a place to get together, and we do 20 minutes of learning approximately, and then we sit and network or co-work depending on where you are, and you can just grab someone and take them out to a coffee shop and get together. So use it as an excuse to meet up and do some work as well, and then come out live to ladies meeting, or if you're up in Whistler, you can also come and meet us at the lovely Engle and Volker's boardroom as well. You can see outside is Main Street, Whistler, and you put a bike if you need to ride around. And there's also some beautiful listings on the wall. What did you just achieve as well?
So in Whistler, we have properties called the Phase 1, which means that you can live in it full-time, you could rent it out full-time, or you can rent it out nightly. The zoning protects it from any vote by the strata corporation or the owner group to change that. So a lot of people like that type of ownership because it has so much flexibility. So here in town is a property called Glacier's Reach, and we had an opportunity to, on behalf of my sellers, find a buyer here through an agent in Whistler, and it completes very quickly. And getting ready for the winter season, we're seeing lots of listings now coming on for the 2019-2020 winter season. So happy to help you here at E&V Whistler.
And is Glacier's Reach up near Ski Out?
It's right here in the village, and
okay.
So in the summer you can just bike everywhere, walk everywhere, and in the winter there's a free bus that takes you up to the ski lifts, bus number 4 from the Whistler Transit.
Absolutely, I used to work there. So I just found a video here. I'm going to play for a couple minutes on. Oh, I did find it. Where did it go? I'm hunting. Oh, we'll just research John Maxwell. So last week we did the first law, which is law of the lid, and we just talked about how you need to learn and grow as a leader to keep helping your employees, your team, and yourself to keep moving forward in your business and to keep working on your success. So let's see how long this one is. Interesting, it keeps cutting out. Here we go. Okay, gotta share screen. 1 second.
Today, I would like to talk to you on becoming a person of influence. In your workbook, the first statement is important. Leadership is influence.
I feel like it's sharing.
In the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I talk about a couple of laws. One is the law of influence. It says the true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. The other law is called the law of E.F. Hutton, that says when the real leader speaks, people listen. What I'm really wanting to share with you in this lesson, in this training series, is to understand that leadership is influence. Influence is leadership. The person in any given group that has the most influence at any given time for any given reason is the leader of the group. So our goal, since leadership is influence, our goal is to increase your influence. Look in your notes. Increasing your influence equals increasing your leadership. J.R. Miller said, "There have been meetings of only a moment which have left impressions for a life, for eternity. No one can understand that mysterious thing we call influence, yet every one of us continually exerts influence either to heal or to bless or to leave marks of beauty or to wound, to hurt, to poison, to stain others' lives." So the goal of our training is twofold. Number one, help you better understand influence. And number two, help you increase your influence with others. If you can understand it better, and if we can increase it for you, you're going to be a better leader. So let's do a little bit of what I call an influence inventory. And I've got to ask you several questions in this inventory, such as question number one: who do I influence? And the principle is a very simple one. As a leader, I attract who I am, not who I want. So the question is, who do I influence? Because whoever I influence are the people that I'm going to attract. So here's what I want you to do in your notebook right now. I want you to list the top 3 characteristics of a person that you want on your team. So I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Write them down. What are 3 characteristics of a person that you would like to have on your team? Now, I can see by your writing that you already have kind of thought about this. You're thinking about the kind of characteristics that you would like to have a person possess when they come on your team. Now, as you write all 3 of them down, and they're all going to be different, which is good because we have an auditorium full of people and they shouldn't be the same. Here's what I want you to notice. Have you got the 3 written down? Okay, here's what I got a question to ask you. Those 3 things, look at those 3 characteristics you just wrote down. One simple question. Do you possess those characteristics? Because you attract who you are, not who you want. So I run into people all the time who say, you know what I want? I want somebody that is hardworking in my organization. And my first question is, are you hardworking? If you're hardworking, you're going to attract somebody like, I want somebody that has a great sense of vision in my company. Do you have vision? You know what? I want somebody that gets along with people. Do you get along with people? In other words, this is kind of disgusting, isn't it? We don't attract who we want. We attract who we are. Birds of a feather flock together. So the question, who do I influence? I love Woody Allen's quote, I would never belong to an organization that would have me as a member. When I went to San Diego, California to pastor Skyline Wesleyan Church, I followed Dr. Butcher, who had been there 27 years. He was the founding pastor. He was a great musician. So guess what? When I went 27 years after he had founded the church, guess what the church was full of? Musicians. Because he was a musician. Like begets like. Now, I'm not a musician. I'm a leader. 14 years after I pastored the church and I leave, guess what the church is full of? It's full of leaders. We had hundreds of leaders. We had leaders all over the place. We had leaders just looking for people to lead. You know what I'm talking about? Had a bunch of bossy people is what we really had. But we were full of leaders. Why? Like begets like. Jim Garland, who's done a great job. Church is bigger now than it ever was when I was there. He's an activist. Guess what he has now? He has a church full of activists. You see, like begets like. So therefore, when you ask yourself, who do I influence? Here's what I want you to know. It's like looking in a mirror.
Oh, this one's a much longer one. But now I'm curious. Looks like, because he's even, let me just stop share. He's actually even revised the 21 laws and he changed, and I've gone with the old set, but I know he's even changed, like he changed his opinion and rewrote. I've got 2 different books that have the laws in different orders, which is really interesting. I love that we wrote down something kind of similar. So I wrote driven, playful, and consistent, and you wrote?
Consistent, motivated, and innovative.
Yeah. And see, for me, what I mean by playful, too, is like you. because you like to go out and play and do things in the park, and and you have a good sense of humor and go for a beer once in a while. So adult playful, you know?
Adult playful.
Because I need someone to remind me to do that sometimes.
And I chose innovative because Anyssa Carruthers has really helped me to step out of my comfort zone and embrace social media in my marketing and in my business plan to meet with people from around the world online first, because real estate is now so much online. So I really appreciate that innovation in our business world. It's really working in real estate now for over 23 years. I've seen it go from a paper marketing aspect to so much online. And motivated to me just means the same thing, along with playful, motivated. You're inspired by life. You want to get out there and have fun, but you're motivated to work on your plans, your life, your career, and consistency. That's one of the things that I'm working on for my business plan heading into 2020 is the consistency of systems that make it be more efficient so that you can get out and have more fun.
Exactly. Well, and I know you closed a deal on Tuesday morning and you still showed up.
Yeah.
From Whistler down to not just Vancouver, Richmond. So, I mean,
and it was a beautiful drive. And even though I had a Murphy's Law kind of morning where things were kind of going sideways, when arriving, it was so much fun to see Anyssa and all the gang there. And consistency is the world is run by those who show up.
Yep. And you show up. And this morning was a tough one, but we've been doing, even just like the mastermind group that Kathy's usually part of, and the ladies meeting, and people are like, oh, how have you built such a great group? Because we have 30 to 50 women show up, and it's because it's the same time, same place. This is the first time we switched it up, and there was a few people like, oh, it's not the same place, and it was really good to do it to see how the consistency impacted. So I had to spend a lot more on marketing, a lot more, a full 30 days of, I like a couple days before, I emailed everyone, do you know where it is? Are you sure? I would still be curious. I bet you there's still a few people that showed up at the Sylvia Hotel in Vancouver, even though I literally got a hold of, I marketed, I paid for Facebook ads and did everything that you possibly could, other than I chose not to get on the phone to people because, you also have to protect your time and your energy. And we had a great turnout. So, and we only had 2 people who purchased tickets that couldn't make it, which was kind of cool too. So we've got credits for next month's event. And yeah, I thought it was really interesting what he said about all of a sudden having a church full of musicians
and a church full of leadership.
Yeah. And I mean, the ladies meeting is actually, even though we are not even slightly religious in any way, I was brought up in a religious situation, and the women used to have ladies meetings, and that is actually what it's named after, because the joke is they weren't actually meetings about the church. They were, they were talking about their husbands, their children, a lot of them had business responsibilities, or what they were and were not doing, what they needed to complain about, babies, lost babies, the stuff you need to talk to just other women about. And that's what I named the ladies meeting after. So even though we are of no affiliation to a church, there's still those aspects of group mentality involved. And so I think that the law of influence is actually a really good one to remember, because sometimes I know me as in the leadership role and doing videos, and people have one concept of me because I live in Whistler and I'll do videos, and where I live happens to be pretty cool. But it doesn't mean there isn't a whole lot of work going on as well. I mean, to live in Whistler, I have a job and I have a business, which is really common here. And I have grandchildren to go to, and, time's pretty packed. And so this is really interesting on how you put that out there to other people as to what you're going to attract into our group, and making sure that I attract people who are going to put that out into the world as well, right?
So, and for me, play is a lot of what our life is about, but also working a lot of our realty clients are from around the world. So I'm dealing with several different time zones as well. So I'm working late at night or early in the morning, which is fine. I don't mind that. I enjoy it. And I also being a part of the community is giving back. So the idea that for me, working with the Whistler Mature Action Community Group is a way of influencing the future of the resort from a personal standpoint, from my personal goal. So the influence is to to make Whistler an age-friendly community for 55 plus folks, and that's our membership. So not only work, but we're so busy in our communities and personal life, you know, it's important to keep consistency in that balance of life, because sometimes you get heavily weighted to the work side and then you forget to commit to family events and things like that. So usually what I do the year ahead is I book all our vacation time first, then I book all my rest and reflection time, and then I schedule my work appointments from there. And so, and then my commitments to the community, that kind of thing, so that you already know ahead of time, you can visualize your year ahead. Another great business friend of mine provided the idea of having a yearly mantra. So my mantra for 2019 is positive and proactive. So what is your business and life mantra for 2020? So I'm already in 2020 in my head, because a lot of our clients are buying now with the idea of completing for the ski season or into the new year. So I'm working already ahead into 2020. Some people plan 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, but I think you also have to live in the now as well and be flexible to and adaptable to accept and adjust change in your life, your work, and your community. So I know Anyssa is very good about consistency of her meetings with the ladies meeting and the YVR and the Entrepreneur Club and YVR Mastermind, and all these things that you're setting up will have a consistent result into the future. Like, I think it's really cool. Well,
it's really funny because even now when I go to Vancouver, I still get people going, so when are you going to be in Vancouver? And I'm like, 3 years. So last Tuesday every month, except for December, because that would be crazy. I have entire rooms of people say this, right? Or even just with our mastermind group, reminding people that we start on time. If you're late, we still start on time. So someone was like, oh, I thought I was just talking. I'm like, no, it was 10 o'clock. That was you starting. You know? Oh, I was just rambling. I'm like, no, we don't ramble. We don't have time to ramble. This is a business meeting. We are talking about how we can help you, what your challenges are, how you can grow. And with 4 or 5 people talking, we need that full 2 hours to get through everyone's challenges for the last month or for the last 2 weeks, because we also meet online as well. When John was talking, first of all, it's about the influence of others, and then who did they influence? And that goes back to, I love that you have a mantra. I have a mission statement that I always fall back to that I did actually, I did the Dreaming Room with Michael Gerber's coaches, which was 6 weeks where you just intensely went and worked on your personal mission statement and your business mission statement and really defining what those were. And I find that I still end up going back to, because I'm more of a stage manager versus me. I don't always like to get on the stage, or I'll get on the stage to introduce people is kind of my favorite thing to do. And so my mission statement is to develop a platform for other people to share their voice and their passion and their mission. And so that makes it really easy when I go to do things, when I have meetings with Kathy, when we have the coffee house, which is meant to really push me also to do recorded content, because this becomes a podcast. It becomes content that people could come and listen to in their car. We're not always visually perfect here. That's always a bit of a challenge. We do have some conference software that I purchased, but sometimes getting it done is better than, what do we say? Better done than perfect.
Better done than perfect.
And just having a conversation once a week, because you catch up with people, you see where they're at, and you've given them something to listen to. And because I've got the app now, the Entrepreneur Collective as well, it gives a place to go to where everything kind of comes together again. But that only happens when we do something consistently. So now this will go, for example, go into the app. And I'm not telling you this to sell this to you. I'm telling you this to show you how to do something. I think a lot of people miss the point in some of the things that get done in the ladies meeting or in YVR masterminds is I don't do them to tell you to do them. I do them to show you how to do them. That when you're consistent, like if you watch Gary Vee, he says, just produce shit. And our goal, and it has happened, that we fill this conference table. We are going to be at Pangea Pod over the winter. We're after Labor Day, and they have really long tables. And I'm sure sometime during there, we're going to have really good, fun, in-depth conversation with large groups of people. And I haven't done any marketing for today. So Kathy and I we decided every last Friday we're doing this, we will show up. So the point in telling you that is when you're producing consistent content and have a place to put it, and because of the ladies meeting, you'll see I'm putting in, and now because of the ladies meeting, YVR Mastermind, and other media that we put out, LinkedIn, for example, there's a place to put it in for it to come back out, bring people back in. Every Sunday morning, I'm reading different book. I will post into our book club there. So in the Entrepreneur Collective, there's free spaces. There's the book club. There'll be the 21 Laws of Leadership. We're building a little bit consistently at a time. I have older videos on the 21 Laws when I did the entire course with the John Maxwell group to get my coaching certificate there, and which I still have to finish, just so you know. It's about doing little pieces all the time, because it can be really overwhelming. We hear these people saying, I make 6-figure incomes on blah, 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 but you really don't know how long it took them to do that. They might have said, I took this one course to do it, but it's very few people that made that leap. They had to have the time and the money to invest, maybe some really good friends to show them how to do some programming. I have the bonus piece of being a graphic designer. So if I design something in my head, I can literally put it onto paper right away, which, that saves a lot of time, being able to just do that. And that makes me think of the postcard that you're sending out is like attracts like John was talking about. So thinking about that when you're doing marketing material is who do you want to attract, is put who you want to attract on the front cover of your marketing material on your if you're putting out postcards, or like, for example, the last Instagram post I did, it was some girls sitting behind a bike wheel. And what I realized too is that we actually went and did the slow cycle about a week later. So it was kind of like the law of attraction does work. I had totally forgot about that. We bought tickets for the slow cycle, and we ended up meeting Donna, who's also in our mastermind group, and her new partner, and tons of other people that are like-minded that want to go out to Pemberton to the slow food cycle, but still many of them were still business people or gym members where I work at the Whistler Core. So it's interesting how what you put out does come back, and until you really kind of deconstruct it, sometimes you don't realize how unconsciously we're doing it as well, which is kind of cool. So anyway, short video from Whistler today is, that's a good 30 minutes we just did. Any closing remarks about the law of influence? And again, you can go to the Entrepreneur Collective, which if you just Google the Entrepreneur Collective, it's a mighty network. You'll be able to find it online.
I would just sort of encourage people to take a few minutes and really think about who has been an inspiring leader to you in your life. Maybe finding that mentor, and it may be somebody from a few years ago, and maybe phone them and thank them, or send them a note and just say, you were a big influence in my life in a positive and proactive way. And now I'm hoping that you'll be that person that people look to as an influencer in your community.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Well, bye from Whistler. This is Kathy and Anyssa at the Engle and Volker office. Take care. Have a great day.